your hosts, Sophia Nelson, Bill O'Reilly, Brian Mistro, and TJ McCormick. It's real voices, raw politics, and no bullshit. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Political Arena. It's Brian Mistro. I'm here with my good friend, Sophia Nelson, and here with Amy McGrath. She's our guest tonight. I won't lie, I have been wanting Amy to get onto this for a while. I follow her on X, and her viewpoints and stuff are so educated. She posts about things she's talking about. It's just been amazing watching you and some of the stuff that you put out on X and elsewhere. And so, if you don't mind, Amy, just for those that are watching and they don't know who you are, just give us a little brief background of who you are, and people understand now why Brian wanted her on here so badly. So go ahead, Amy.
Sure. Well, I served in the United States Marine Corps for 20 years, rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel, and I was a fighter pilot, both as a front seater and a back seater in the Marine Corps, Naval Academy graduate. And I left the military in 2017 and jumped into the political arena. So for the last 10 years or so, I've been working on trying to get better leaders in our country. And so that's kind of the short of it.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, she's been very active in doing it, and you've run good campaigns. I mean, you really have. That's a tough state to run in. So let's do something. I want to talk about something tonight it's a very serious subject, and I wanted, especially with you on, Amy, to kind of deep dive a little bit of what's happening in the Iran war and some of the decisions that have been made. But I want to start off, if it's okay, I want to share a video, and this is from C-SPAN. I believe this was from earlier today, which Donald Trump was asked about North Korea and him canceling the exercises with North Korea, and that left most of the country probably shaking their head. So let me go ahead and play that really quickly for those that are watching, or if you're going to listen, just give it a good watch here and start that right now.
Earlier today, you said North Korea has something like 57 nuclear weapons. They've been expanding their nuclear program. Is your goal in trying to re-engage with Chairman Kim still denuclearization? And what makes you think you could be successful now when you weren't?
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but I do have a good relationship with Kim Jong-un. As you know, you've seen. He didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody, but he likes me, and I just got along with him very good. We had great meetings. We speak, and I think our nation, and I think other nations, frankly, whether it's Japan or South Korea, they're a lot safer if I'm president than if somebody else is president. Now, I didn't like the fact that we're doing these massive military exercises, really against North Korea. It was an exercise against North Korea. When I'm friendly with him, I don't see anything happening for certainly 2.5 years. It's not going to happen with me, but I don't see anything happening. And I was not happy when South Korea said, no, they're not interested in helping us with the Hormuz Strait, and yet they get 60% of their oil from the Hormuz Strait. I said, would you like to help us? He said, no, thank you. I said, that's nice, please, thank you. He made us a lot of money. I didn't like that. So I felt that we were doing a massive war exercise. I thought that was very insulting to somebody that, frankly, has been, during my term at least, very well behaved.
So he says, he didn't like Biden, he didn't like Obama, but he likes me. I'm not sure that was a compliment he thinks it is. How do you take that? Because, when I immediately saw that, I immediately posted, Amy and Sophia, and I said, folks, this has nothing to do with his relationship with the guy from North Korea. It's him being his mob boss self, and him trying to punish South Korea for not getting involved in a war that he didn't ask them to get involved with to begin with. And so that's kind of my take. I'd love yours, Amy. How did you read that?
Well, there's so much here. First of all, it's an absolute slap in the face to South Korea. South Korea was with us in Afghanistan when it mattered. To me, it's personal because I fought alongside them in places like Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. So for him to kind of do this, to me, it's a slap in the face. But the thing that stuck out in the clip that you just played was that when Trump said, "Well, we don't want these exercises against North Korea." Folks need to understand operations and exercises are not against a nation. They're
Right.
for us. They're for our partners. They are for our military. Okay? The whole goal of an exercise is not even political. It's well, there's some political part of it, but a lot of it is tactical. The whole goal is to get our military to work to operate with another military that we could potentially go to war with. When we don't do this, we have our own forces being shot down by friendly aircraft, as happened on the first day of the Iran war.
Yeah.
So the whole point of exercises is to speak the same language. I flew with the French fighter jets during the first few months of my deployment, which is the very early stages of the Afghanistan war, and it was very hard because our equipment didn't work together while airborne. Sometimes you don't figure these things out until you do the exercise, until you do the conditions, the simulated conditions. And remember, the military rotates, officers and enlisted rotate. So they have new people coming in. So what President Trump is doing right now is he is hurting our military in all of this. And of course, what you said is right on. It's all about him. It's all about, the BS that this our partner and ally doesn't want to be with us in an illegal war that we started that nobody wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Sophia,
Of course, Amy comes at it from a very different perspective. She's actually done the exercises. She's been in war. She's flown jets, and that is as close as it gets to understanding the tactical side. I come from the policy side, being on the Hill and working on the North Korean missile transfer with China, going way back to when I was a youngster, when Chris Cox was chairman of our select committee, when I got out of law school in the mid 90s. And I can tell you that what concerns me most about his hyperbolic, unbelievably unastute, belligerent behavior here towards an ally, a longtime friend of ours, South Korea,
right.
is our partner in the Pacific Rim and Asia. And in those areas, if something were to jump off that is nefarious and not good, the DMZ is the line, right? And up to this point, North Korea hasn't crossed it. They haven't, and they've flown a missile here and there, and they've been bellicose, but they've always stayed in line because, exactly as Amy said, those exercises and that unity and the alliances of the other countries that do the same is what keeps them at bay from going rogue. And so what concerns me is that the president, with his behavior towards all of our partners, whether it's NATO or whether it's here in the Pacific Rim nations, etc., I think creates a real opportunity for the bad guys, whether that's North Korea, whether that's China, whether that's Russia. All, even Iran has to be emboldened by this, right? Because they see that nobody wants to come in as an ally, as a partner in this war against Iran, because everybody knows President Obama negotiated a proper agreement. There were no nuclear weapons being developed. Iran, if we were going to do anything with Iran, we needed to deal with human rights, right? And we needed to deal with the way they were treating their people and women in particular. And instead, Trump goes in and he doesn't like the agreement because Obama did it. Let's just cut to the chase. That's what this is all about. It's about ego, and it's about Bibi Netanyahu and Trump, together sitting in a room. I don't even have words for what that is, but it's not something that's good for the world when those two get together and have a very one-sided conversation one with another.
So, just incidentally, and I do want to move to the Iran war, but I will add for the audience that didn't know, shortly after Trump put out this video and calling Kim Jong-un his buddy and great relationship, North Korea shot off, I believe it was 6 ballistic missiles into the sea. So maybe they're not as good of friends as he thinks they are. So let's move over to the Iran war for just a second. I'm going to read just a couple of slides here. Iran is, and this is from the Hormuz letter. This is they're on X, and I found most of their stuff follows pretty closely. So let me go ahead and read the slides, and we'll talk about them. Iran has flatly ruled out any future negotiations with the Trump administration, declaring it will wait out Trump's term until January 20th, 2029, per an advisor to the parliament speaker, so forth. The second slide says, and this is from the Wall Street Journal, Trump is out of options. He's now willing to end the Iran war without a nuclear deal if Iranian leadership agrees to open up the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz was opened up in February, okay, and they did have a program. Agree or disagree with Obama's what Obama's did and the thing that he put in place, and my issue with what Obama did is that it front loaded everything for the Iranians. The only thing dumber than front loading everything for the Iranians is yanking the deal away after they've already got everything that they want. So this all goes back, in my opinion, to Trump and a completely failed strategic policy. Love George Bush, hate him, okay? Hate the Iran, that's okay. But he did make an attempt to pull in our allies before he went to war. So I'll throw it over to you, Amy. The Iran war. What's going on here?
World peace, go. I feel like, first of all, the Iran war is the worst strategic defeat I think we're going to see in probably my lifetime. There was never a military solution here. You and I can have a debate about the Obama deal and the intricacies of that. The bottom line was that deal was not between the United States and Iran. That deal was between the world.
That's right.
And Iran.
Good
and
point.
Obama and his team over the 2 or 3 years of negotiating that brought the world together, including Russia and China, to put the economic squeeze on Iran. Mm-hmm. So this business now that Trump is saying, well, we're gonna put some economic sanctions on Iran. Well, that's just a bunch of your bullshit. Your media show here is no bullshit. That is bullshit.
It is,
because there's no way. Thank you. There's no way that the time for that is over, and you need the rest of the world to be with you. Why? Mm-hmm. How many products do you buy from Walmart that come from Iran? So if America just sanctions them, it doesn't matter. It has to be the rest of the world. So this war. And I'll shut up, has no military solution. We have war gamed Iran, and a scenario for Iran. I rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel, which is a higher rank than Pete Hegseth ever got. And I did at least a dozen war games on Iran, and they all ended the same way, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed and the world having an energy crisis, and the United States not having a real response to that, because a lot of their military capability is buried in the mountains. So here we are. We didn't topple the regime. We only hardened it. We brought about a world energy crisis. We gave Iran more strategic influence. We damaged our reputation. We have killed 18 service members, injured hundreds more, put lives at risk, killed thousands of civilians in the process, including 150 elementary school children.
Yeah.
We have damaged our bases, where our own government is covering up the cost of the damage to our bases. We've depleted our stockpiles. And what have we gotten out of this? Absolutely nothing at this point. So that's where we stand right now. And I don't see any end to this. I really don't.
Sophia, I would argue that we're actually worse than we were in February, significantly. I mean, I agree with every single thing that Amy just said, but I'll let you respond, Sophia.
Well, of course she's spot on. I mean, we were in a better place, but I think the 800-pound elephant we're not talking about in this is the incompetence, the utter incompetence of the SecDef, of the President of the United States, of our diplomatic corps to negotiate. All the normal protocols and procedures have been broken. He sends in Jared Kushner. He sends in his other guy. What's the one who's the other real estate guy? I can't think of his name right now.
Witkoff.
Yeah, Witkoff. And so the Secretary of State should just resign, in my opinion. I don't know why he's there, because he does nothing. It's either Jared or Witkoff, or sometimes it's JD Vance. And the normal ways, to Amy's point, if you're going to take on Iran, you have got to have a global agreement with everyone that says we all agree that this has to happen. We all agree they can't have a nuclear weapon. We all agree that we will participate in embargoes, or we will do whatever, what have you, freeze accounts, etc. When you go it alone, like the Lone Ranger, Buffalo Wild Bill Hickok here, Trump thinks he is, he can just run roughshod to everybody. I'm gonna go capture you in the middle of the night. I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take your oil. These guys think they're cowboys, and they're causing great damage to our diplomacy structure, to our allyships. I mean, NATO, I'm just waiting for him to say he's pulling out of NATO. It's a matter of time before he does it. And you, my fellow Americans, let me say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You have to be concerned when the President of the United States of America berates and humiliates an ally like Ukraine in the Oval, but rolls out the red carpet for Vladimir
Literally.
Putin, puts him in the beast,
Literally.
takes him on a ride, gets along with him. Did you see what Russia did to Kiev last night? It was awful. And then he does this North Korea thing where, let me throw my ally South Korea under the bus, our partner, and then I'm going to embrace the murderous thug dictator that kills his own family members. Like, I don't know, Amy, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. What the hell is wrong with this country right now, and why we don't seem to care that the man who holds the nuclear codes, that the man who sits in the Oval Office is not pro-democracy. He is not pro-America first. And I don't understand why everybody's so laissez-faire about this. I'd love to have your thoughts, but that's my biggest concern.
Well, I mean, I've been very sad with the state of our country and the state by many people, many Americans who don't seem to see this or understand it. I think there's a component of it that what network you watch and what social media feed you're reading. I think that matters. You can be, I've talked to voters, I talk to people all the time here in Kentucky, and there are folks that just they're not living in the same world that we're living in.
That's real.
And so that's why things like gas prices do matter, because it does force some people to be like, wait, why is diesel $5.50 a gallon? What
You're
are we
saying
doing?
this argument's a little high-minded. People aren't dealing in the foreign affairs, etc., unless it hits their pocketbook.
Some people, and I think that does matter. And I do think when people take a step back and be like, well, wait a second, gas prices are really high. Like, what are we doing in Iran? Like, why did we do that? Did we sign up for that?
Yeah.
And I do think that matters. But there's a lot of the American public that are watching this, and like you and I, and saying, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Right. I want to ask the two of you, I want to move on to something for just a moment. So I'm going to share kind of an older slide that has been, it's been on the news networks and so forth, and then I'm going to talk about something that did just happen today. So let me just start. This is Ted Lieu, Senator. He said, quote, U.S. defense strategy, let me read this for everybody. If you're just in case you're just listening to this on a podcast, I'm going to read the slide. So it says, U.S. defense strategy is based on being able to fight two wars simultaneously. But Iran war showed us that the U.S. can't even sustain a war of less than 6 months against a second-rate Iranian military. We need a totally different Pentagon budget that prioritizes munitions and sustainment. And so there's something else that just happened today that I want to talk to you two guys about. So there was a decision made by, I believe it was and correct me, Amy, but I believe it was the Secretary of the Army, and I could be wrong about that. But what it was is that they're going to start prioritizing, instead of, they took out a special unit that was focused on creating drones, and instead they're going to, quote, go back to the basics. So here's my question. I've been following the Ukraine-Russia war. I'm not a military analyst in this, okay? So I will lean towards you. But I have watched a $10,000 drone take out a $3 million tank over and over and over and over. And so when we look at this and we wonder what's going to soon be a $1.5 trillion military budget, when we look at this, is the problem that we ran out of munitions, that we're prioritizing the wrong thing and not keeping up? Or is the reason that we ran out of munitions, that at least most of them, is that because of the strategic failure of this administration in this war? I'll throw that out to you, Amy. That's a tough one. I'm sorry.
So I'll take the second piece of that, the non-drone piece first, because the munitions, what we're talking about mostly aren't drones. We don't have a ton of drones, which is a whole other issue. What we're doing is we're shooting down drones and incoming ballistic missiles and cruise missiles from Iran using Patriot missiles and THAAD, and we don't. Those are interceptor missiles, and we don't have a ton of them. We have enough to win, hopefully, in a war against China, our major, but we don't have unlimited amounts, and they're very expensive, and they take years to produce. So we are using them. It's just simple math. We are shooting them off at a higher rate than what we can produce. Okay, so if you say, well, just produce more, which is what President Trump probably says, you don't just snap a finger and produce these things. You have to build more plants. The plants that we have in the defense industry they're only so big. They can only pump out so many of these things. Plus, as you mentioned, these interceptor missiles are millions of dollars each, and they're shooting down, $10,000 drones. So the math doesn't add up there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think munitions are meant to be used. I get that. But you have to look at why are we doing this? If we were in a war with China or Russia, and this was like existential to America, okay, shoot them all off. Let's defend. We got to defend. Let's defend our partners. Even I'd be okay with that. But we started this war, and now we're shooting all of this stuff off. We're taking our munitions away from the Pacific. We're vulnerable. We're going to be vulnerable for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
And Amy, to your point, if I'm the bad guys, and the one thing, I've read Sun Tzu about 10 times in my life, I think. And if you study the Chinese, the way they approach everything they do, they're very disciplined, they're very methodical, they're very patient. And if I were looking at this right now, I would probably roll over Taiwan real quick, because, Trump's not going to defend Taiwan if something pops off. He's going to be like, that's nothing to do with it.
I am afraid that you may be right. I'm afraid that you may be right.
And then that kind of pushes the dominoes, right? And then if I'm looking at this like, well, hell, if I do make a run at the United States, can they really defend themselves? Because what I've seen in Iran, to your earlier point, Amy, is not impressive at all. Killing 168 schoolgirls because you couldn't even get the locations right of the camps of the people you were trying to get. Like, the bellicose talk, the threatening of bridges and civilian sites and things that are war crimes. The United States has lost our credibility here in a way that I worry. I don't know how we recover from a Trump presidency. Everybody, I don't think, is taking this seriously enough. I mean, Canada, our friend, we pissed all over them. Europe, our NATO allies, even partners in the Middle East and certainly in the Pacific. I think people are not going to trust us, is my biggest worry if we get through this. That's my concern.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point. And if I can, I want to shift to one other thing, and this is going to be the hardest question for the night for you, Amy. But I am going to throw this out to you, and I'm curious what you're going to say. First, I want to read a slide very quickly, and then I'll share it with you. So the slide is about 40% of SNAP recipients are children. That includes, it included here in the work requirements for others on the program. I think it's fair to say that we're nudging society to return to an era where kids must prioritize work over school to help their families survive. And so here's going to be my very difficult question for you. we right now have a proposed budget of $1.5 trillion for the military, a 50% increase in the military. That's more than most of the countries spend together. I think that may be more than every single country on the planet spends together. So are we prioritizing our money right? We're now, as of today, $40 trillion in debt. We're going to be spending $1.5 trillion on our military. We've run out of our arms in the Middle East already. But at the same time, we're cutting SNAP benefits for children. 40% of Medicare for children, but we can't pay for that. But we're going to drop $1.5 trillion for the military. You came out of the military. I know that's a hard question. I know there's a lot of stipulations, but what do you think?
It's actually not hard at all. And people have to understand what the president is asking for now for $1.5 trillion. That's $500 billion more than last year. Yep. Last year's budget was already $1 trillion. It was already bloated. Yeah. And think about, I want to just talk about the scale of this for just a second and put it in context for people. We talk endlessly about wasteful government. There's all kinds of stories about the ballroom. Everybody's upset about the ballroom. Folks, the ballroom is terrible. Terrible. It's not even $1 billion yet. 1 billion. Yeah. The reflecting pool, mayhem, that's $16 million of wasted spending. 16 million. We're talking like very, very different here. When you're talking $500 billion more than last year.
More.
It is insane. Think about that versus the massive boondoggles, what we call boondoggles in the military. We have the Golden Dome. The Golden Dome that can never protect the entire country from a drone or cruise or ballistic missile attack. $1.2 trillion program. The Golden Fleet of battleships. Trump wants 15 battleships
named after him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The most expensive warship ever would be built at $23 billion per ship. Aircraft carriers are only $13 billion. All right. We're talking enormous bullshit weapons programs that we do not need.
Amy, he wants to roll back the technology on the aircraft carriers to launch the planes.
Yeah.
Which is going to cost billions.
Right.
Billions. Just moving that piece of the superstructure is going to cost that. We could probably give SNAP benefits to all the kids in America for that.
Probably all of them in the world, I would venture, on Medicaid. You're absolutely right about that. Listen, I think, Brian, to wrap it, because I know we're tight on time and you have to do an out here, but I think the question I want to pose to those listening to us, and Amy, thank you so much for being with us. It's an honor to have you, and thank you for your service to this country. A pioneering woman, trailblazer, doing amazing. The Marine Corps is no joke. It's not for the faint of heart. And to rise to the rank you did, go ahead, girl. But I think my wrap of this is that we, the people, have to make a very serious decision come November in the midterms. We have to get a check on this executive power. We have to get a check on the executive spending. We have to elect a Democratic House and Senate. I was a Republican my whole entire adult life until Trump in 2016. Me too. Most of us were center right, center left, good Democrats, good Republicans, finding a way to work together. The country is in trouble. We have a president obsessed with vanity and his ego, putting his name on the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. I'm still outraged by it. It's despicable. It's going to get worse, folks, before it gets better. And if we don't put a check on this, I don't know what happens. And my only hope is that a Democratic House and Senate will put a stop on the spending. That type of military spending will not get approved. The cuts will not go through.
We'll see.
We're going to find out.
Yeah. So let me just real quickly say thank you for watching us. I don't know if you're watching this on X. I don't know if you're watching it on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or just a podcast. I don't know where you're watching it from, but thank you. Give us a like. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. You'll get this show. You'll get many others that we currently have and that we're launching in new shows. If you've got a question, leave a question. We talk about it every single time. We'll bring it up. Some of them are insanely silly questions, but that's okay. We'll try to bring it up and talk about some of the craziness. Amy, it was a pleasure. Oh my gosh, we've got to get you back on. It was an absolute pleasure for us. Yes, yes. And this discussion that we just had could probably have been about 3 or 4 times as long, and we still wouldn't have been able to cover it all. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. One little bitty call out. I do know that there is a retired Navy fighter pilot that is watching us tonight. I will tell you that I think he tried to get into the Marines, Amy. They said no. All right. And then he tells us too that some of his students were Top Gun, and that you just can't believe these guys from the Navy. But anyways, call sign.
I married a Navy guy, but that's okay.
Call sign Rabbit.
Here, but wow.
Call sign Rabbit.
You did that, Brian.
I owe you. I got you. All right. Thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you again this next time.
The No Bull Political Arena is on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us and your host a follow.
Hey everybody, this is Sophia Nelson. Follow me at I am Sophia Nelson on every one of my social media platforms.
I'm Bill O'Reilly, and you can reach me at Twitter at WFBOR.
Hey, this is TJ. Follow me on X or Twitter at TJ McCormack.
This is Brian Mistro, and you can follow me on X at Brian_Mistro or follow along on Facebook at Brian.Mistro.
A No Bull Media Group member.